Hi, welcome to Continent 8's Ask the Expert podcast series. In this series, we engage with industry leaders, thought leaders, influencers even. We explore the latest trends in iGaming and the online sports betting sector. Today, I'm your host, Justin Cosnett, Chief Product Officer at Continent 8. This is the inaugural one, and our topic is cybersecurity insights, securing the iGaming and the future of iGaming. We'll examine the current cybersecurity landscape, the threats that are prevalent, and some of the most effective kind of strategies and methods for safeguarding your gaming operations. Joining us today for our first one is David Brace, Principal of Innovation and Technology at Continent 8. Hi, David.
Hey, Justin. Thank you very much, and glad to be setting the bar high for this podcast series.
Let's hope so, yeah. So can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your role at Continent 8?
Yeah, sure. I'm the Principal for Innovation and Technology. I'm responsible for the forward-looking face of technology within Continent 8. So what's coming down the road, technology evolution, changes in the landscape from regulation and from our customers as well. I've been in IT 27 years now, 7 years in the gaming industry, and before that worked for managed service providers in insurance and private banking.
Cool. So we'll start with our kind of first question of our inaugural episode. The iGaming and online sports betting sector is doing well. It's thriving. It's got consistent year-on-year growth. It's obviously also exploded in the US. This kind of makes the sector even more of an attractive target for cyber criminals. Can you kind of provide a rough overview of the kind of landscape within the industry?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as you said, the bigger the industry gets, the bigger target we have on our backs as a collective group. We're not only the target for cyber criminals, there's state threat actors, and the more the industry grows, the bigger target we become. Now, there's been a number of high-profile cybersecurity incidents recently. There was a number of land-based and online attacks over the past couple of years. We're not going to call out anyone in particular, but I'm sure if you Google casino cybersecurity breaches or even online casino cybersecurity breaches, you'll find plenty of material out there. One of the trends we're seeing at Continent 8 and our group security company, C8 Secure, is there's an increasing complexity in attacks. Historically, attacks would be a single vector, as we would say. So it is one type of attack targeting a particular company or a particular organization. What we're seeing now is an increasing complexity where attacks are multi-layered. So you might see a traditional distributed denial of service attack being used as a cover for a credential stuffing attack, or you may now see an entire swathe of organizations targeted in a particular area, be that a land-based casino or an online sports book. There'll be a wave of attacks against a group of players, and there'll be a mask from a different type of attack. Probably the biggest one we're seeing, and everyone will be seeing this in their daily lives, is the rise in social engineering attacks. So be these kind of phishing attacks, smishing attacks, voice calls. The increasing complexity and sophistication of those is a big threat for the industry.
Okay, so I suppose if the number and the intensity and complexity is changing or has changed in recent years, what has that kind of prompted from the iGaming and online sports betting operators to do? Are they reshaping, strengthening? How are they? What are the industry changes you're kind of seeing since those incidents have started happening and the complexities increased?
Yeah, I think the biggest one, and not wanting to do anyone down or anything, but over the past few years, I can honestly say it's being taken more seriously. There was a point in time with the launch of so many regulated markets and the hypergrowth in the industry. A number of organizations were seeing cybersecurity as effectively a tick box exercise. You have a requirement from a regulator or a government agency to have some form of cybersecurity. You tick the box, you got on with making money. Now what we're seeing is there's a real pivot from a kind of growth at any cost mindset to adding in security as kind of a core element to a business. We're moving from this growth to defense and now to proactive offense. And that's, a welcome and refreshing change. It's an awkward conversation to try and have with people, but building applications in a secure fashion from the ground up is a refreshing change, should we say. And one of the other things we're seeing, highlighted by especially some of the larger breaches, is a focus not only on your own house, but that of your suppliers as well. So looking at supply chain vulnerabilities, all of the third parties you interact with who have either access to your systems or you rely on. And we're seeing a number of the bigger organizations effectively enforcing good cybersecurity practices and good cybersecurity hygiene on their suppliers as well.
Okay, I mean, I think you've already mentioned that, you know, the social aspects in several other different areas, but I suppose if they're a kind of daily occurrence and part of the new normal, what are the most common right now that the industry faces?
From the social engineering, we're still on email. You know, email is the big thing, and you know, every day in the news, people are talking about a new generation of AI large language model or an AI automation tool. What that's done is that's allowed threat actors to have increasingly complex ways of targeting people. So you're getting incredibly convincing email phishing attacks. We're getting incredibly convincing text message attacks, WhatsApp, Telegram. There's pretty much no platform is safe from this kind of attack. And finally, tagging on the end of that, with the advance in AI, I mean, we've got to talk about AI now. We're seeing a lot more on voice and video as well. So there's plenty of us out there who've got videos online. It is but the work of a couple of minutes to AI generate a reasonably convincing voice message or video from one person.
Okay, so I mean, that sounds like a pretty complex challenge. I suppose even for, you know, members of the exec at most companies, you've got CEOs, CTOs, and CISOs. They've got a kind of complex set of cybersecurity ecosystems. What are the steps that kind of they should be taking to make sure it's safer and more secure iGaming and online sports betting for the consumers?
I think one of the biggest changes you can make as an organization is move from a reactive to kind of a proactive stance. So rather than waiting for somebody to discover a vulnerability or an issue with your system or one of your platforms or your staff, move to a more proactive stance. So when we're talking about social engineering attacks, regular training with your staff, not just the once a quarter have, you know, obvious email. It's you have to take the time as a security organization to create convincing phishing attacks simulated against your staff. And you know, we're seeing it a lot of companies now, and we do this here at Continent A. It's now part of your kind of your KPIs as a staff member or your OKRs to actually do cybersecurity training, and not just to do it, but to pass it. So moving to this proactive stance is incredibly important. You know, one of my horses or hills I will die upon is I really am against point in time audits. You know, an annual tick box audit, they're great for proving that you have done something and you're secure on that day. And it's a requirement for most organizations to have annual point in time audits. But I'd like to see us move to more of a continuous evaluation process. You shouldn't just be checking on one day. You should be regularly reporting. You should be having a dashboard that your exec can view that lists even simple things like the patching level of your platforms and your systems, the number of staff who've completed cybersecurity training. It should be a continuous evaluation process. And that's one of the things that, you know, we at Continent 8 and C8 Secure will be leaning into our customers on, and also regulatory and government bodies as well. And I think the final thing, as mentioned earlier, is looking at your third-party suppliers. You know, it could be a vendor you take software from. One of the things we came up in a recent panel we did in ICE Barcelona was the risk of third-party libraries. Now, it's been a long time since I've done any code development, but even back then, when I was asked to look at writing a particular bit of code, I'd hit the internet up, I'd hit GitHub, the forums, and try and find a bit of code that somebody else has written. And nothing's changed. So GitHub is an absolute wealth of software libraries, of things you can integrate into your app. But do you always know the validity of them? So not only reviewing the suppliers, but the sources of your code, and you know, enacting static code reviews and reviewing your applications regularly are also incredibly important.
Understood. So I suppose looking beyond the recent history and what we've seen, what do we think is going to be the trend or best practice, or what's going to impact and shape, I suppose, the industry going forward for the next year, maybe 2 years to 2026?
Oh, that's a long way out. I mean, I can barely predict what's going to happen tomorrow. It's the whole thing with cybersecurity. But I think one of the big things and one of the best things we can do as an industry is increasing collaboration. So that's sharing of intelligence, sharing of knowledge, all contributing to sources of knowledge for known attack vectors, bad IP addresses, known threat actors. To, we're all in this together. We're all part of an industry. Yes, we may compete against each other, but it's of no benefit for one company to be taken down by a cybersecurity attack. So collaboration is incredibly important. Next thing we're seeing is an evolution in regulatory frameworks. Now, regulations take a while to change, shall we say, but we are seeing a number of changes in regulations that will have an impact on the industry and force it to be more secure. And interestingly, a lot of those are not just focused at the organization themselves, but actually at players. So it's enforcing good hygiene on players to better secure the systems. And finally, we're going to have to, and we are seeing an increase in staff training. So it's one of the most important things you can get, and all good cybersecurity vendors should have a high quality training platform with simulated phishing attacks, simulated smishing attacks, and be able to push out and train staff. So those are the important things we can do as an industry. As for trends on the outside, it's a guessing game. We are one of the biggest targets out there, so we're just going to have to be aware and keep our wits about us.
Cool. Thank you very much. Cheers for that. Thanks for the informative session. Thanks for sharing your insights, and I look forward to our audience enjoying this and hopefully joining us for our second episode. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Cheers. If you liked that, you have any questions, want to share your thoughts, have a look at the website or reach out to us at sales@continent8.com. Hopefully you've enjoyed that, and you'll join us for more in our series with different interviewers maybe and different panelists. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you, Justin.